Hey, this is Walt from StogieReview.com here with another video cigar review. This time, I'm not sure whether it's to my left or to my right, but we have Mike and we're doing a joint cigar review just like Jerry and Brian do the Herfing Heads videos. So, Mike, I'll let you get started. Tell us what cigar we're reviewing, and I'll show off the band while you talk, and move through opening up my cigar. Then I'll talk, and you can do all the maintenance to your cigar and whatnot.
Sounds good. Let me screw up first, huh? Today we're going to do Ashton San Cristobal. It's a Nicaraguan Puro, Don Pepin Garcia blended. It, of course, has a triple cap. It comes in 8 different sizes. Now, Walt and I are doing 2 different sizes today. My size is going to be the Supremo 650, and Walt's is I'm going to screw this up, Guajiro 6.625 by 46. And like Walt had told me earlier, the .625 is mainly because of the pigtail that's on the end of his. That's about it.
All right. Do you know offhand whether or not all the sizes have the pigtail cap, or is it just a few of them?
No, from what I see here, it's actually only that size that has the pigtail. No other size had it.
Oh, really? I was under the impression all of the sizes had it. That's interesting.
No, it goes the whole way from 5.75 by 55, which is a new one. Which when I purchased mine, I actually did it. I got a 7-pack sampler of them, and they didn't have the new size at the time when I got the sampler, so all the other 7 were in it. But up through the Maestro, which almost looks like what would that be, like a Perfecto, and that does not have a pigtail on it either.
Yeah, this is actually the only size I've ever smoked. I went in on a group buy, I don't know, several months ago on one of the cigar forums, and we got a couple of 5-packs of this size, and this is the last one of the batch, actually. So let's hope that this isn't plugged or anything, because we're going to be in trouble if it is, or it's going to be a really long video if it is. But I went ahead and clipped my cap, because of the way the video is situated. I had a little bit of free time, so I'm going to talk, and Mike's going to open up the head of his cigar and whatnot. What I'm going to talk about is just the basic visuals of the cigar. First and foremost, it looks pretty consistent in color. It's fairly dark brown. It's got some medium-sized veins throughout. They don't really stand up too much, so it doesn't have a really lumpy appearance or feel to it. This cigar is very, very firm. I was almost concerned that the pre-light draw was going to be rock solid, but it doesn't seem to be too bad. A little stiff, but nothing that I'm really concerned about. And it feels evenly packed, no soft spots, no hard spots either. It's just uniformly firm. And real mild, sort of barnyard, almost compost-like aroma. And I'm getting a little bit of a natural sweetness on the cold draw. But so far, it's looking pretty good. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, mine is very well packed. It's really firm. Now mine does have a few veins. I don't know if you're going to be able to pick it up because of my focus issues on the camera, but they do stick up. They're pretty prominent at places. But the stick is real solid. Clip the cap. I cut it this time, so no punch or anything else because of my power problems. And very nice draw. And with these now, I've had 3 others of these, and each one I get the taste and the smell of some type of liqueur. And I don't know if it's a cognac or what it is. Since I don't drink a whole lot, I can't place it.
Now, you said you got a sampler of these. Which ones have you smoked so far? Or is this your first?
Oh, you had to ask me that. I actually smoked the one that you're smoking there. I smoked the big Maestro, which is, I guess, the Perfecto with the little nipple at the end. and I believe it might have been the Francisco as the other one, the 5.5 by 44.
All right, well, I think that's enough small talk to, to get the video kicked off. I've got my cigar lit, producing smoke. Mike's going to do the same. We'll be back in just a minute. Take a look at the first third of our San Cristobal by Ashton, and we'll see how it goes. So sit tight.
See ya.
All right, well, we're back and working our way through the first third of our San Cristobals by Ashton Cigars. And so far, mine's doing pretty well. I know, Mike, yours was burning a little differently. You had a little bit of flaking going on the ash. Mine's been fairly tight, fairly light in color. I'm not getting much flaking going on. The burn line's a little uneven, but there's really nothing to complain about. It's thin for the most part. The draw is a little stiff, but I'm still getting a decent amount of smoke. I mean, it feels a little airy, but there's some thickness to it. So it's coating the palate. It doesn't feel really airy. It's okay. It's decent. What about you? How's yours going?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. I don't know if people will be able to see that or not with my focus issues, but it's a little flaky on mine. It's a little cracked, but first little bit fell off by itself when I put it over on the ashtray. But it's been a nice white ash for me. I mean, predominant wood flavor coming through for me. I had the pepper and the spiciness, but that woodiness has just been right up there. I said to you during our one break, it was like I was chewing on a 2x4. I mean, I don't care if you don't have a palate at all, you can tell there was wood in there. But other than that, it's really going well. I mean, the burnt line is just a hair off, nothing I get worried about, but it's razor thin, and it's going really good so far.
I don't know whether it's because mine's been sitting around for a few months or if it's a different size that plays a big factor in it, but I'm not getting a whole lot of woody flavor out of it. And it's kind of interesting that I'm not really getting any definitive flavors per se at all. I mean, I'm getting a little bit of a sweetness, a little bit of a sharp spice through the sinuses, a little bit of pepper through the sinuses, but across the palate, I mean, I'm just getting sort of a Nicaraguan tobacco flavor. And again, I don't know if it's because of the size difference or the fact that this has been sitting around a while. And when I say months, I probably mean 16, 18 months, not 3 or 4 months. The last time I did a group buy was probably last year at some point. So this cigar's probably been sitting around a little while now. Actually, thinking back really hard, I think this came from Cigar Live. So the Cigar Live has been defunct for a while now, or been bought out for a while now. So this is probably a year at least. It's been sitting around for at least a year.
Yeah, now mine are only, I guess, about 3 weeks at the most old. I ordered them and had them in my humidor ever since. So it could very well be the age.
I'm kind of interested to find out, too, where these cigars are made. I know when the My Father factory just opened up recently, or at least they had a big grand opening ceremony recently. So I'm curious as to if the newer San Cristobals, the ones that are been made in the last few months, are being made in that factory, or if these are made somewhere else, wherever Pepin was making his Nicaraguan stuff at. Because not everything came out of the Miami factory. There was some stuff made in Nicaragua and whatnot, and I'm curious to see if production was moved from one facility to the next, and if that's going to play any part of what's going on. Also, I think Pepin's I think he's growing his own tobacco now as well. So it's kind of interesting to see where his blends are going to go. Because if he's growing tobacco, I don't know that he's necessarily going to continue buying it from Tobacco Tropical. And I'm thinking maybe if he's growing his own stuff, he's going to incorporate his own tobacco into his blends. And what's going to happen to those blends? Is anything going to change, or is he just going to keep buying out the tobacco to keep consistency among his older brands, and just use his own stuff for for newer release stuff. Food for thought, I guess.
Yeah. Now I do remember they have the other San Cristobal that they have out. What is that? The Selection del Sol, I believe it is, with the turquoise band at the bottom.
I've
Now,
heard of it. I haven't seen it.
I believe I was reading it when I was studying. See, people, I studied for you on the San Cristobal. They actually had that one, and I believe that's from what is it, Esteli,
Mm-hmm.
and that's his field, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
In there,
Yeah, I think that's where it's at.
That one is from his tobacco, then, from what I've read. Now, this one, it didn't say anything about it. So maybe that's what they did. Maybe they, with his tobacco that he's using now, he's using it for that new blend for that Selection del Sol, and still using the old tobacco and still buying it for this one.
Yeah, it could be. It's kind of interesting. Just kind of glancing at my notes, I forgot to mention medium to full body, fairly smooth on the palate. It's got a little bit of a creamy texture to it, and I get a slight sting through the sinuses when I retrohale that smoke. What about you? Same thing? Any difference?
It's definitely on my scale a good high, medium to full. It's something that I would normally smoke maybe in the evening after a meal, but everybody knows I'm a wussy. I like the mild to medium stuff. So, but other than that, I mean, the smoke itself, great volume of smoke coming out of it. It really does coat the palate pretty well, and the only harshness I really have to it is in the through the sinuses. Through the sinuses, it really does give that sharp, like you said, like a jabbing type of sensation.
All right.
Other than
Well,
that, I'm doing good.
great. Well, I think that takes care of. Oh, before I'm on the screen all the time, and I don't realize it all the time. But I'm actually sipping on a little bit of Macallan single malt Scotch. Not doing water. I've had a handful of these things, so I'm pretty comfortable with the flavor profile, and I'm not really afraid I'm going to muddy it up with the Scotch, and it's going pretty well with it too. The Scotch has got it's got a nice warm, I don't know, creamy sort of bite to it, which works really well with the cigar.
Yeah, I'm pairing with Coke, like you saw as Walt was talking. And like he said, I've had, this is my fourth one now. So I think I have the flavor profile down enough where I can at least take the soda out of the equation.
All right, well that takes care of the first third of our San Cristobal by Ashton. So sit tight. We'll be back in just a second, and we'll take a look at the second third and see what that has in store for us. All right, well we're back, and I'm kind of being gassed out here. The smoke from the cigar is wafting right across my face. It's a little pungent. I mean, it's more of an irritant to my eyes than it is to my nose. It doesn't stink, but it is sort of getting to me a little bit. I got to try to keep it on this side of me. The draw on mine is relatively stiff. I'm not getting a ton of smoke volume. I mean, I'm getting a satisfying amount, but I feel like I'm working for it a little hard. Uh, it's just a bit of a stiffness, and all of the samples that I've smoked from this group buy have all been relatively stiff, with the exception of one cigar. I don't know whether that was just the oddball, it was a little underfilled or what, but I really preferred the draw on that one. This one is just a bit stiff for me. Mike, you said yours was drawing great, right?
Yeah, right as I take a puff of smoke. Yeah, it's drawing really well for me. Like I said, mine is the 50 ring gauge, so that might have a difference. I have smoked the one that you're smoking, and I do remember I did have a tighter draw with that one than what I do with this one here. Now with this one, I am having a little bit, if you can catch it on the camera there, a little bit of a freaky burn there. It almost went out once on me, but I saved it. I didn't have to correct with the lighter at all. Tastes are just the same. I am getting a little bit of the nicotine feel, but that still might be because of the fact I'm used to mild medium cigars, and this is more of a full-bodied cigar. But the flavors are really pretty consistent for me. What about yours, Walt?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not noticing much in terms of difference in flavors. It's been very consistent. I am starting to get a little bit of a woody flavor out of it, but it's still predominantly more of just a standardized Nicaraguan tobacco flavor. A little bit of pepper through the sinuses, a sharp spiciness through the sinuses. The finish is mildly creamy, and the body is medium to full still. I haven't seen much of a change across the board, really, with the exception of the addition of a little bit of a woody flavor. Aside from that, it's been more or less the same. The burn on mine is doing really well. As I just had it up to the camera a second ago. It's pretty thin. It's fairly even. Nice compacted shape. I mean, I'm getting a couple of stragglers here and there, but they really seem to be the rarity. Nice tightly compacted ash, fairly light in color, and as far as the burn goes, it's been great. I mean, construction-wise, fantastic, with the exception of the stiff draw. Everything else has been excellent.
Yeah, the construction has been pretty good. Now, I've been having a flakier ash than you have. I don't know if you'll be able to pick that up. Now, you can see where I showed that earlier. It's actually starting to correct itself right now, where it should go back to a nice line. I mean, the edge has been razor thin. Like I said, I've never had to touch it up. Now, I will say the sharp bitiness of that spice that was there has mellowed out just a little bit. It's not as predominant as it was, but I'm still getting very woody flavors with mine.
Now, another thing, we were kind of talking off camera, and you had mentioned you were having some tar problems before, and you said you were dry boxing the cigar. Have you noticed anything different with dry boxing this sample over the other 3 or 4 that you smoked previous to this?
No, actually, I haven't with these. I don't recall having a tar problem with these before, even with the big one that I smoked first, that Maestro. It's a work in progress with that tar. Everybody's seen me talk about it on Twitter, where I get it an awful lot. And it's a work in progress, trying some things, see what it does. But yes, I did forget to mention, I did dry box this since this morning for the review this evening. So I don't know if that makes any bit of a difference, but as in taste-wise and even the burn-wise, everything is the same as the other ones that I have smoked.
All right, well, I think that wraps up our second third. So sit tight. We'll be right back. We'll take a look at the final third of the Ashton San Cristobal. We'll wrap up the cigar, and we'll let you be on your way. Sit tight. All right, well, welcome back. It is the final third of our Ashton San Cristobal. And as you can see, I'm down quite a ways, and we decided to hop back on and talk about the cigar a little bit at this point, just because the cigars seem to be getting a little warm. They're really packed with tobacco. You need to draw on them fairly firmly, and as a result, it kind of warms up a little bit, and I'm anticipating the cigar getting harsh. There really isn't a whole lot to say. The cigar's been extremely consistent. I'm still getting a little bit of a woody flavor, some pepper through the sinuses, a sharp spiciness through the sinuses, and just a smooth, generic sort of Nicaraguan tobacco taste. Aside from that, I'm not seeing much change. What about you?
Yeah, that's about right with me too. I mean, the woodiness that I was getting in the first third did cut back some, but I mean, it no longer just tastes like I'm chewing on a 2x4. But other than that, it's just been consistent. Now, since about halfway, I'm feeling a little bit of the nicotine still, but it's nothing too overpowering or however you want to say it. Burn in real good. Anytime it will go off a little bit, it would correct itself, just like I showed in the last segment. And it is starting a little warm. And I remember the other ones that I smoked did get a little harsh towards the end. And like Walt said, it's probably because they're packed so tight.
Now, I'm not sure what, I don't remember exactly what the price point was on each of these. I think the price point on mine is about $10 MSRP, something like that. So what do you think? Are they a good value at the MSRP?
No, no, I really don't think so. Now, um, yeah, I keep saying maybe I expect a little too much out of a cigar when I keep bringing up the La Traviata. You know, when that comes out at a price point it is, if you try to compare some of these other cigars to that, with the one-dimensional flavor throughout, I mean, it's been the same basically from the beginning to the end, except the woodiness went away a little bit. There's just nothing to hold your attention. You can let it sit in the ashtray. And the smoke really isn't very pleasant, I don't think. It's not overpowering and really makes you want to get out of the room, but it's just not a pleasant odor, I would say. What do you think, Walt?
Well, I actually had to grab my other ashtray so I could put it on the left-hand side of me because as the smoke was coming across my face, it was just kind of overkill, kind of pungent. It didn't smell very pleasant. This is definitely going to get the attention of the non-smoker in in the general vicinity. Um, even sitting, in a closed room with a bunch of smokers, if you're at your local cigar shop or whatnot, I think this one might overpower everything else that's going on as far as a pungent smell goes. And as far as the price point goes, I think I agree with you. It's constructed really well. It burns great. It smokes pretty well, but it's too one dimensional for my taste. I really prefer twists and turns along the way, and this cigar has just been it's just been too straight and narrow. I guess is the best way to put it. I haven't experienced much change at all. I mean, there are times when that's good in a cigar, but in this case, I'm looking for a little bit more, and I think asking $10 for a cigar that is this consistent, at least for my taste, it's not worth it. Maybe if this were a $6 or $7 cigar, I would consider it if I saw it at my local shop. But at $10, I'd probably look at something else. For less money that I would get more enjoyment out of.
Right, especially the big size. What was that? Let me look at it. 6x60, the Maestro. You're looking at $12 for that cigar, and I just think and that's the online price. So I imagine if you would find it in your local brick and mortar, it would even be higher price than that yet. And I just think there's an awful lot of cigars out there at a better price point for flavors than what this delivers.
Yeah, and even if you stick with just the Don Pepe and Garcia stuff, I think there's a slew of other cigars that are more modestly priced that give you more bang for your buck. Especially the Black Label Cuban Classic. I think it's a much better cigar at a much better price point. The Blue Label even is, I think is a better cigar at a better price point. And there's probably a handful of others that I could probably say the same thing about.
Yeah, I agree. I would be real interested in trying the newer blend at Selection del Sol that they brought out, the turquoise band. I didn't look up what price point they're at. I imagine they might be pretty close to what this one is, but maybe it's a little better tobacco, maybe with growing it themselves on their own farm like that, or on a Garcia's farm. Maybe he takes more care of it, or something. I really don't know, but I'm just not very impressed with these at all.
Now that one that I had that had a draw that was a little more free, I think that was a much more. It was much more better. It was a much better cigar, I think, than all the other samples that have been relatively tight. And I think that takes a lot of the enjoyment away from this cigar too. It's the fact that I feel like I'm working to get the amount of smoke that I am, whereas A lot of other cigars, I light them up and it's effortless. Like, I get a mouthful of smoke and I don't feel like I'm really tugging on the end of the cigar to get anything out of it.
Yeah, it's true. Now my draw hasn't been as tight as that one was that I remember the size that you're smoking, but it's still, the cigar is heating up. I mean, I can feel it on my fingers, and well, you can see. I mean, the burn went off again, but like I said before, it's going to probably correct itself. But it's just getting so hot here towards the end. You don't really want to puff on it much, and without puffing on it much, it wants to go out, and the burn won't correct itself, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know.
Well, I think that about does it for the Ashton San Cristobal. And thanks, Mike, for sitting in with us. Hopefully we can do this again sometime soon. And well, unless you got any final words, I think we're ready to go.
No, thanks to you for having me and all the people out there. Hey, let me know what you think. Walt got me on my first video review, so give me the good and the bad.
All right, guys. I'll catch you later.
See you.